what I want to do now is to go over the other form that you're going to be filling out, which is the residential purchase agreement and joint escrow instructions. So I'm going to go ahead over here and pull that form up, which is located right here. And we're going to be bringing that form in. And of course, I'm going to move this out of the way. So again, this is the part that you're dealing with on the buyer's side of the transaction. So you'll go through here just like I mentioned on the other form. Remember, there is a lot of written text, and what you're doing is filling in the blanks. So we have the date. Remember, the date is the purchase date of the property, or the the date that everything's been finalized and we're going to go forward with the transaction. Again, this is the buyer's name, address, all the buyer's name, how much money they're going to pay for it, the brokerage company, any kinds of financing terms that are going to be coming in here. You can go down here. This is where we get the increased deposit. Any new kinds of loans go in here. Okay. And as we go down here, I'll go to the, we have things that you'll have to fill in, such as things of verification of payment and closing costs. This is just something to make sure that people are going to have the money. Any kind of loan contingency removal. So in other words, if the property is contingent, if the sale is contingent on the buyer getting a new loan, this is where you would say how many days they have before that needs to be removed. In other words, you don't want to be sitting there as the seller waiting for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and to only find out after 2 months the buyer never qualified for the property and you've had it off the market. So that's why you want that filled out. Okay. This is where we're going to have the allocation of costs for inspections. So this is where you would pick whether the buyer or the seller, buyer or seller, or buyer and seller, and how they're going to split this. This would be the inspections and reports, such as sewer inspection, termite inspection, all those kinds of inspections. This is your buyer and escrow fees. Going down from there, so you just go down and you just check them off, is what you do based on what you've negotiated with between the buyer and the seller. This is closing in possession. In other words, when closing is going to take place. Go down, in other words, look, there's lots of written text. This is the condominium plan development disclosures. This is, sometimes people know this better as saying the CC&Rs, that the buyer has the chance to look through these. And I'll just go down here, property address, condition of the property. Again, you can just go down here and read all of this. Very important information. This is just seller's disclosure form that they're going to be filling out, disclosing the condition of the property and everything else. Title investing, or is how they're going to hold title to the property. This is sale of the buyer's property. This is if they have to sell their property before they can actually purchase this. And we'll continue to go down here. This is just talking about the multiple listing service, equal opportunity, attorney's fees, definitions that you're going to have, broker compensation, joint escrow instructions. Again, this is just, you can read all of this. All we're doing is going down here. Notice that we have things like buyer's initials, seller's initials. The reason why we have it on this is, remember, because the purchase agreement is between the buyer and the seller. So we have to have both of their initials, whereas the listing agreement only had the sellers because the contract was only between the seller and the real estate brokerage that was listing it. Okay, this is talking about things like damages. If you and the seller agree or disagree over some point, how are you going to resolve this? And one of the ways you can resolve is through mediation, and you can read all of this. The other one is called arbitration. And we'll go down here, and this is again where the buyers sign. Notice where the sellers sign, because the contract's between the two of them. Okay. Again, this is down here where we have all of the real estate information. This is escrow holder acknowledgement down here. Okay, and this again form has been attached, which is the buyer's inspection advisory. It's essentially advising them as to the fact of different things that they may not be aware of, that they can have inspections done. And so it just lists all the different types of inspections. In other words, for example, roof, present condition, age, leaks, remaining useful life. All of this things down here is just to advise the buyer. And again, the buyer and the seller sign down here to acknowledge that. So again, don't let the size of the document and the text overwhelm you as much as looking at what do I need to fill out, where does that information come from, is it appropriate? We don't fill out every blank. There are certain, just like you do when you're applying for anything, going to college, or you're filling out your income tax forms. Not every single line is necessary you click or put something in, so you want to make sure that you know what information goes in there. And this will pretty much wind up the demonstration of the final residential purchase agreement and joint escrow instructions.